terrorist is holding a hostage at a gunpoint, and what will be your response? And Jack would spontaneously say, I'll shoot the hostage and take him off the equation. Because there is a hostage, only terrorist is able to threaten me. If the hostage is taken off the equation, then the terrorist has nothing to fight me. Now it's easier for me to kill the terrorist. So I will shoot the hostage in the legs and disarm the terrorist, because the armory which the terrorist is now fighting with is a hostage. The phrase is very simple. He says, I'll take the hostage off the equation and then fight what I have to fight. Somehow when I was taking this class this time, about 90-10, and after discussing everything in the context of the past and the present continuous, I told the class, when Manohar came to Alma Mater, and I know all of you know Manohar, but for the benefit of all of you who don't know Manohar, I think you should see Manohar. Manohar, can I have you here, please? When Manohar came to the course, October 30th, 1995, he introduced himself in the class saying, standing in front of you is P. Manohar, who has wasted, how many years?
33 years.
33 years and one day of his life, is how he introduced himself in the class. Without knowing his background, I just came and gave a feedback to him saying that, Manohar, I don't think any one of us are useless. We are only used less. When we learn to use enough of ourselves, I don't think anybody will be considering himself a waste. But later in the entire conversation I had with Manohar, I realized, by a mistake of a doctor, his spinal column was broken. Manohar used to have a 42-degree tilt on his back. He still has. He still cannot stand straight. There is still a bend in his back. And the situation was so bad that people have to carry him to the first floor and carry him back from the first floor. Situation was so bad that doctors had very clearly said that he shouldn't get married, he will not be able to have a child. Situation was so bad that he was never allowed to drive a vehicle. This is as of October 30th, 1995. As we are discussing here several years later, right now the situation is that he not only has a beautiful family and two wonderful children, his daughter is a national level champion in karate today. He drives his own car. He's one of the very few people whom I have seen can still run around the entire cricket stadium without stopping. He still has a tilt. Even today, some of the orthopedists look at his x-rays, look at his scanning report, and they say it's a miracle that you are walking because your spinal column is permanently damaged. Not only that, he is right now in Alma Mater the national top performer. I think a lot of this we will understand in the context of realizing every day a steroids injection had to be given for him to survive the pain for that one day. And without a steroids injection, he cannot see through a day. And this is how he was as of 1995. So in one of the conversations I had with Manohar said, I asked him, how did you set everything right? He said, one, with meditation I kicked medication. But he said something in the context of today's mastermind which I wanted to share with all of you, which I shared with the class. He said, as you explained, 90% of my life is okay and 10% of my life is not yet. Ever since the way I look at life is, if something is not okay about my life, I take it and put it into the 10% which is not yet. That must be dealt with. But at the 90 level, there is no point in struggling. What is not okay about my life at any given stage, which must be handled, but shouldn't make me weak. So I take it and put it into my 10% which is not it. And focus on the 90%. And on the strength of the 90%, Rajan, almost every time you can solve the 10% which is not it. But if you only focus on the 10% which is not it, it's not allowing you to enjoy the 90% which is okay in your life. He actually realized what he has done is, he took the hostage out of the equation. That which was affecting him the most, troubling him the most, the point that is being discussed by everybody, when you think about Manavar, everything goes into a little hunchback and spinal column injury and he is not able to walk straight and everything is focused about. But what he has done which really matters the most, not what everybody sees, but how he sees it. He said, I've taken it and put it into the 10% bracket and I'm just focusing on the 90% where everything is right. And Rajan, when you understand the strength of the 90% which is going right for you in life, the 10% is nothing to deal with. It can always be dealt with. Very proud of you, Manoj. So whenever I have a conversation with any one of you one-to-one individually, I somehow realize the struggle for most of us in life is, we are not willing to take that hostage of the equation. We are not willing to set aside that 10% which can be dealt with, which must be dealt with, but on the strength of the 90% which is going right. She kept on complaining about little more pain. Shubha, can you come please? She kept on complaining about a leg pain. And then she went and saw some doctors, and then a normal X-ray, the way it has to be taken, was taken. And the expression on the doctor's face revealed that something is dramatically wrong. Then MRI, everything had to be done. And finally, with the clinical reports, she called a few Almanite doctors, and almost everybody told her, I wish this never had to happen to you. You shouldn't be going through this. And an almost devastated child Googled to increase her suffering even more. And the condition was AVN, avascular necrosis. Avascular necrosis is the blood supply to one of the bones have stopped. And when there is no more blood supply to the bone marrow of the bone is no more a living bone. It's a dead bone. And a dead bone, on every stress you create, will begin to powder itself. And this AVN can come to any bone in the body, but that AVN came for her in the thallus bone, which is right there at the heel. I'm talking in terms of some of the biggest names in orthopedic in the city. And almost everybody uniform concluded, you will never be able to walk again without a limp. Between crutches and wheelchair are only two possibilities. A surgery has to be done and that bone has to be removed. And that is the only way you can endure. Otherwise the pain is going to eat you up. Of course, to put a lot of other things aside, once she came to me and, in fact, I have never seen her heartbroken any other time in life than during that period. I just told her that if something is wrong with you, something within me must tremble. It's not trembling. So either the diagnosis is wrong or we have not yet met the doctor who has a cure for this. Only one of the two possibilities. It cannot be that you are going to be, if anything is going to be so wrong with you, something within me should tell me something, but nothing within me is telling it's wrong. Let's find. She went to Dr. Kannan Pugarendi first. And Dr. Kannan Pugarendi straight away told her, oh, avian of thallus only. I have even cured avian of skull. Okay, this is nothing. This is the first part. 6 months later, he said something. There was another doctor she went to who happens to be classmate of Dr. Kannan Pugarendi, Dr. Krishna Raman. And Dr. Krishna Raman said, and this is where taking the hostage of the equation comes again. He said, we will work on the remaining 205 bones and train them to deal with this one resignation. Rather than focusing on this one which is not okay, let's focus on the remaining 205. 600 muscles and 205 bones we will work at. When somebody resigns from an organization, don't the other employees stand up to the situation and make up for that one lost employee? I think that is what we are going to deal with. Let's strengthen everything else about your body and we'll see what we can do with this separately. Dr. Kannan Pugarendi also took the hostage of the equation, and how he did that was, 6 months later he told me, I didn't even know what was avian when she told that. But without a patient believing it will work, it doesn't work. So I had to utter a lie to her at that stage, saying that I have treated even avian of the skull, and I saw in her face, avian of the skull itself is treated, what thallus? Nothing. So now one hostage, which was the mental hostage, which keeps on telling you it cannot be cured, it cannot be cured, it cannot be cured. Dr. Kannan Pugarendi took that hostage of the equation by giving her a feeling it can be treated. Dr. Krishna Raman added value to the whole thing and just said that we will strengthen the 600 muscles and 205 bones to deal with that one. And I think above all, Top Gear was around the corner. And I know what Top Gear can do. All put together, with no surgery, with no medicine, not a single tablet has been given to treat this. Not a single tablet, no medicine, no surgery, nothing. Purely through exercise, physiotherapy, and most importantly, meditation. And it's a medical miracle. There is no avian in the body anymore. In the entire globe, if you Google avian, there is not a single instance reported from anywhere in the world which suggests avian can be cured. Medically it is not possible, but then a lot of things which are not medically possible is spiritually possible. The reason I am again sharing this with you is, collectively as a team, the 10% of our body which was not okay was taken and kept aside. Avian of the thallus bone was put into the 10% not yet. And the focus was on the remaining 90% where everything is okay. And on the strength of that 90%. Probably today she can dance for 6 hours. Which I don't know whether all the orthopedics who checked her can do that. So the appeal to all of you right now is this. Maybe there is a trouble in a department. Maybe there is a political interference. Maybe there is a legal dispute. Maybe there is a relationship issue. Maybe there is one fear that you're fighting in life. Maybe there is one complex. Something about us is not okay. Don't glorify the hostage. Take the hostage off the equation. put it into the 10% which is not yet. Not never will be, not yet. Focus on the 90%. Focus on everything that is right. Develop that monumental strength, giant of a strength out of this 90%. And then look at the 10%. That's all. The 10% is only poinde. When the hostage becomes the focus, you will be weakened by the terrorist, you will weaken yourself, and you will never be able to resolve crisis, situation, whatever terminology we have been learning, you have been practicing, will keep coming. There is never going to be a highway without a pothole. There is never going to be a garden without an occasional thorn. There is never going to be a forest without a snake. There is never going to be the life of any one of you adventuring with growth, trying to raise the bar all the time and every time. There's never going to be a time that you're not going to be challenged. But sometimes we make a hero out of a hostage, and you become a hostage of circumstances. Never. Take it and put it into the 10% which is not it. Focus on the 90%. Focus on the collective strength with which you can view everything. The 10% is nothing. Almost every time you can deal with it. And even if the 10% which is not it takes longer than required for it to be solved, still that 90% will carry you through. Same is the case with the relationship. This one issue is there between both of you. Everything else in the relationship is right. This is the only issue. Take that and put it into the 10% which is not it, and cherish the 90% of it that is going right in the relationship, and see what a difference it makes. I'll listen to a few of you when you're learning from the last mastermind. Sonika.
Happy morning. My actions should be such that it should create enough ripples. So be it reaching the kids through Subject Plus or any other work which I do, it should create enough ripples and it should reach enough people. That's what I took from last mastermind. Thank you.
She's basically referring to how certain lives are born out of certain speeches, and how sometimes the one who delivered the message would have forgotten the message, but the one who received the message will continue to grow out of that message, continue to benefit out of that message. You never know how far the ripples will go when you throw a stone in a still water lake. When does what you say or what you express create ripples? Only when it comes from your deepest conviction, not what you lip service. In fact, as a Subject Plus speaker, Sonika, you are absolutely convinced to every cell of yours that you should be enthusiastic about anything and strive for excellence in everything. Then when you deliver a speech, I shouldn't say this just before Subject Plus because some of you will make it an excuse. But truth be told, a 60% delivery of the speech with 100% conviction will create more transformation than 100% delivery of the speech which you don't even practice in your own life and you don't have that conviction. So eventually what creates ripple in people is, are you convinced about what you're saying? I think we will be the first global brand from India. Every cell of yours should believe. Then whatever you say, your team will also believe. You have any doubt there, transference of feelings. The doubt will be transferred. I know my children will make it very big in life. It has to come from a conviction deep within. Nothing in you doubts that your children are going to make it very big in life. They do. Somehow after you meditate And you feel with the vibrations of that place, and somewhere from deep within, sometimes it will come out of my tongue, this place is going to flourish. And 100 out of 100 times I have seen it has flourished. In fact, it has transcended the expectations of those who are supposed to cause the flourish. But somehow when that conviction is total, I think my service is the best. I think my product is the best. It's not something you're saying because you were trained to say, or you learnt it in a sales training program, or that is what is written there in the contents of what you have to deliver, or you read somewhere. Inshallah, if it comes with conviction, there can never be a disturbance again in life. Because God willing, it will happen. God is not willing. Okay, God is not willing. If it comes from that conviction, in fact, God wills with your will. And your will is always aligned to God's will. But to say God's will, but hope that it will be only your will. And that is when that entire conviction. Lord is with me is a statement that they are saying because a priest taught you, or it's a knowing. If it's a knowing, I don't think you will ever know loneliness in life. If it is something you are saying because you like the priest saying it and you feel nanark in the sentence, from now also I will also say, then it does nothing to your life. So if you really believe by whatever you say, by whatever you write, you should create ripples, it has to come from a core conviction within you where every cell of yours believes what you are saying, what you are expressing. Vishwanathan.
Happy morning, this is Vishwanathan. It's about leadership. I'm here to just share my gratitude. Whatever leadership, wisdom or learnings I've taken from this forum, Alma Mater, my place, everything is implemented. Today I'm here to share. I follow the same leadership quality which Rajan was sharing with all of us. I share my vulnerabilities to my team. I became the coach. I inspire them by way of converting all my weakness into strength, again share it to them. They get inspired. And today, I'm very proud to say, we are a happy organization and there is a culture of leadership. And there is a leadership style in our organization. The most beautiful part I enjoy in my organization is, it's not that how I lead my core team and everybody else lead their team the same way. There is a leadership style throughout the organization. I'm very proud of that. Last but not least, I carry the most famous book which is called Leadership Wisdom by Rajan, the master who guides my life all the time. Here the book is not with papers and printing. The book is myself, my system. It's a DNA embedded by his teachings. Love you all so much.
Vishwanathan, you've gone to a gym and improved your shoulders, or that shirt type is like that? Huh? Gym, okay. Now shoulders have really improved here.
Happy morning. Power of thoughts got redefined this week. Lot of learnings we have taken from the dais. But even the suffering is because of power of thoughts. That got redefined this week. The whole of week I was very cautious about what I think, and I realized more than 50% of the suffering is getting repeated, and that's because I am inviting that suffering. As he rightly said, if the suffering is repeating, the thinking is repeating. Lots and lots of suffering is because of that. I discussed with some of my friends and colleagues, and I found with most of us, the suffering is repeating, be it 10, 5, 15, 20 or 75%. So if we can control and direct our thoughts in the right direction, this will definitely come down to a great extent. Thank you.
April 12th, I was in a stationery shop, and an alumnite who has never attended a mastermind happened to be there in the shop. And he told me immediately that we all have become like you, you have become like us. Pardon? I asked him. And as of April 12th, I was 79.9 kgs. And it did disturb me. Because transformation should be visible. Papa should not be visible. So next day, graph note came. All that was drawn. I have not dieted at all. Sucharita is there. Edukku ivlo saapra, she still asks. I have been traveling the maximum this period. Almost every Friday, Saturday I am outside. So I am eating out of hotels. And at various stages, all these people have seen how much I eat. I have not given up on rice. I have had probably not less than close to 20 kgs of naturals ice cream in this period. I've had a mango every day from each of your orchards that has come. And just to experiment the power of thoughts, because so much has been discussed, every day when I just come out of my meditation, I visualize myself at 72 kgs. And somewhere long time back when I had a discussion with a very major trouser manufacturer, he said, we only choose people with 32 waistline as models. Because a trouser looks best only on somebody who has a waistline of 32. So somehow suddenly the thought came, how will it be if I can have a waistline of 32? Role model we already are, model also if we can become. So sorry, okay. So from April 12th, every Monday I just weigh myself, plot on the graph. The power of intention is very clear. The graph has to grow downwards. It already set a target. 90 days I should be 72 kgs from 79.9. Baseline was 36. Around the same time it happened. I see, I can tell you. I said, no, I'm 34. The tapes don't lie. It showed 36 and a half. So just to experiment the power of thoughts, I told her I'm going to give up exercise for this period. I will not exercise. No form of exercise. Of course, now the last 2 weeks I've again started practicing yoga. But before those 2 weeks, I said I will not exercise. Purely by the power of my intention and releasing the vibrations of meditation. And just by giving an incomplete cycle to my subconscious, this is the frame I wish to be. And I have to become. And just to create a direction to my thoughts, just that usual maths graph notebook has been plotted. I'm 69 kgs and 33 waistline right now.